As the days go by, we are learning more and more about the 5 police officers that killed Tyree Nichols. We learned about Demetrius Haley, who was accused of beating down an inmate when he was a corrections officer. We learned about Tadarius Bean, who was president of a fraternity that was known for hazing prospects. Terrible hazing, terrible beatings came from that president of that fraternity. Now Desmond Mills Jr. One of the Memphis police officers who beat Tyree Nichols, previously failed to report his role in a different violent incident. Not to mention the police chief, Sherilyn C.J. Davis, who was fired from a job in Atlanta for a cover-up. She tried to cover up sex crimes. And I also heard that she was fired from the police force in Durham, North Carolina. According to this article on MSN, a Memphis ex-cop involved in Tyree Nichols' beating was previously disciplined. Records show that Desmond Mills Jr. received a reprimand for failing to report his use of force. A woman Mills helped arrest alleged that officers beat her and slammed her head into a squad car. So one of the former police officers charged in the beating death of Tyree Nichols was previously disciplined for failing to report his role in a different beating incident, according to disciplinary records released by the Memphis Police Department. Desmond Mills Jr., one of the 5 ex-officers charged with second-degree murder in 29-year-old Nichols' death, received a written reprimand in 2021 for failing to report his use of physical force during an arrest 2 years earlier. Mills assisted 3 other officers in the arrest of a woman on March 21st, 2019. He said the woman was resisting arrest, so he grabbed her by the arms and took her to the ground while another officer handcuffed her, according to the disciplinary records. The woman later filed a complaint against the Memphis police officers involved, alleging that the one officer grabbed her after she refused to get into his squad car, and that a second officer began beating her with a black object, grabbing her hair and slamming her head into the squad car. She denied resisting arrest and reported injuries, including a black eye, abrasions, and swelling on her arms and face. Mills had been required to fill out a document known as a response to resistance form after using physical force to restrain the woman. Mills himself was not accused of using excessive force in the incident and was only disciplined for his failure to report the incident. He stated he was familiar with completing the response to resistance document in the Blue Team, but he did not realize it applied to his actions in this case. A document summarizing Mills' disciplinary hearing said it was explained to him if the individual refuses to comply with verbal commands and he is required to use any type of physical force to gain compliance, he should complete the response to release form. Two of the officers involved in the arrest were later disciplined for excessive and unnecessary force, and a third was disciplined for failure to report the use of force as Mills was. Mills' defense attorney did not immediately respond to Insider's request for comment. In a separate disciplinary incident in March of 2019, Mills received another written reprimand for dropping a department-issued device on a roadway where it was run over by a car. The disciplinary records said Mills reported responding to an accident call on the interstate and placing his personal digital assistant in his pocket, where it fell out while he got into his squad car. The PDA came out and went into the street, and an unknown vehicle ran over your PDA, the records said, adding that Mills had violated the department's policy on rough or careless handling of equipment. Mills is not the only officer who was disciplined for failing to report a use of force. Ex-officer Demetrius Haley, who was also charged in Nicholas's beating death, received a similar written reprimand in 2021 for an incident in which he saw a fellow officer rip a woman from her car and dislocate her shoulder. In total, 4 out of the 5 officers charged in Nicholas's death had previously been disciplined for various matters, and don't be surprised if we hear some discrepancies about the 4th police officer. Let me know what y'all think. Like, comment, subscribe. It's your girl, B Sparrow, BuzzzTweet Talk Radio, the No Audience podcast for the scattered till he gather. Holla at your girl.